So, how many of you guys have a dog? Okay, so let's be more specific. How many of you guys own a pit bull? Okay, so for those of you who don't, well, hopefully you guys have heard of the saying that all pit bulls are monsters. Well, today I am here to tell you that they are not monsters. It's just that they are raised to be monsters. But why should you believe in what I have to say? I will tell you why. I believe I am credible because I have done my research, and also because I have been raised with pit bulls my entire life since birth till now. I have had a pit bull in my family. Pit bulls have suffered in some homes that they have gotten beaten up in the street and even in animal shelters because they have been put to sleep. By the end of my speech, I hope that you guys can understand how and why they act the way they do, and that pit bulls are living creatures instead of monsters that the media has created them to be. With that being said, I will begin by discussing how the pit bull fighting began, the type of owners that these breeds need, and what pit bulls go through because of the misconception of them. So, for my first main point, I will be talking about the pit bull fighting pits. Pit bulls aren't born bad, they are raised bad. They have been put into fighting pits just for the pleasure of seeing animals hurt each other. The article of Humans, the Cause of Pit Bulls' Bad Reputation by Sandy Britt said that the fighting pits began in the early 1800s. Working class people were rabid fans of dog fighting and also bull baiting. The bulldog breed were trained to attack real live bulls by biting them and holding on just to entertain people who get a satisfaction out of it. The fighting was not always between pit bulls. It originated from English bulldogs who used to fight large animals like bulls and bears. Once that got banned, that's when the dog versus dog began. The purpose of the pit is for two people to resolve their conflicts, so they will see who's the strongest. So they will put dogs to fight against each other. You can't really see it in this picture, but there's blood on the dogs. And usually when they start fighting, it is less likely for them to back down. They don't know any better because that's how they were raised. So now I will be moving on to my second main point. So it's not the breed, it's the owner who creates such vicious animals. Certain things that one does can trigger not just pit bulls, but any breed to become vicious. These type of dogs need care and companionship. Pit bulls can be loving family pets, but the way some owners treat them makes them be the way they are. For example, locking pit bulls in the back with the chain around their neck for 24 hours can drive any dog crazy. So, as you can see in this picture, the pit bulls are living creatures. If they're raised in the right family, they could be really, they're family dogs. You just have to raise them right. So in the Los Angeles Times magazine by Jason Wells, it has a story on how a man will be facing 6 years in prison for chaining and starving his pit bull. He chained his dog to a street sign and left him starving for days there. Therefore, he was convicted for animal cruelty. I believe he got what he deserved. A good example of a well-trained pit bull was Petrie from the movie Little Rascals. This is a great example because Pete was surrounded with many children and he never displayed any sign of bad behavior to the kids or to crew. In fact, according to Sandy Britt article, this breed was so respected in the early 1900s that the USA military put it on the war posters to represent America. Pit bulls used to be considered the perfect nanny dog for children until the media turned them into monsters, said Joshua Holland. The media has been falsely portraying them as bloodthirsty monsters that were inherently dangerous than other breeds. An article by John McQuiston called Animal Rescue Skeptical of Hero Pit Bull Story talks about how the monster dog, as the media refers them to, saved a woman and her toddler from a man who held a knife to her throat in Minneapolis. The dog scared the man away, making the pit bull a hero, not a monster. Now I will be going on to my third and final main point. So the media has created a bad reputation for this breed. Any dog who behaves aggressively towards a person could possibly be killed to avoid passing such an undesirable trait. Most of these, of course, were pit bulls because the media found them more fascinating and interesting instead of other dogs. Also, there's many pit bulls in the animal shelter that are put to sleep because many of them don't want to adopt them because of the fear that they will turn out to be vicious, just like the media said. But that's not true. It's the owners who make them vicious or adorable creatures. We might not know this yet, but they are slowly killing the pit bull's population because they are neutering them and killing them for displaying bad behavior. All dogs need love and care. Once given the proper care to a dog, it will change so many people's thought and conceptions of this breed. These dogs need all the attention they could get because they crave that the most. I have a pit bull myself, and he's 1.5 years old. And if you guys could see him and play with him, you guys will see that he's not vicious. He's like a kid. So I don't know why they say that they're monsters if they're not. So as you guys can see, pit bulls are service dogs. They are police dogs, search dogs, therapy dogs, working dogs, and of course, companionship dogs. So I don't understand why people think of them in such a threatening way. Here's a picture where it says, "Give a pit bull a chance to love you." I'm pretty sure if you guys own it or have a pit bull or get a pit bull, you guys won't regret it. They get attached to you and they're always there for you. Okay, so I hope that I have persuaded you guys that these living animals mean no harm. I hope that next time you see a pit bull, you won't be so scared and maybe consider the thought of adopting a pit bull from the animal shelter to put them into a loving home instead of being put to sleep. So let's recap what I have discussed. I talked about how pit bull fighting began, what great responsibility the owner has for the animal, and lastly, the misconception of the breed. So I would like to end my speech by saying, you don't blame the car when a drunk driver kills someone, so you shouldn't blame a good dog ruined by the hands of a cold-hearted owner either. Thank you.